All right, gang, so I'm just going to dive right on into some of the fun products that I used. We first started with using my angled brush. Absolutely love this brush. I have my own brush set that I sell, and I love using a larger angled brush. The reason I like using this angled brush is because it can create a really nice angled defined look to the eyebrow, and it covers a larger space, so it's a lot quicker. A lot of times traditionally we use a smaller angled brush, which is great, but that's great for precision and definition. This is great for an initial deposit. And I used my neutral eyeshadow quad palette. It has a beige color, espresso brown color, of course my beautiful love black eyeshadow, and a nice gold bronze eyeshadow. But what I did is I used the brown as my eyebrow color in combination with the angled brush to create that eyebrow definition. Next, I used some concealer from one of my favorite palettes. This is the Eve Pearl palette. Amazing Emmy Award winning makeup artist who created her own line, and someone I aspire to be like. She has a beauty studio and academy in New York City. But Eve Pearl, amazing. This actually has a fun story behind it. They're HD foundations and can also be used as concealers. They're full coverage but can be broken down with mixing mediums for a more sheerer coverage. So I used a concealer brush. Not that one. I actually used something more like this. I used a concealer brush. I dipped into a lighter color and a medium color, mixed the two together, and I really used it to carve out the underneath of my eyebrow and on the top, so you get that really nice chiseled look. And I plan to go into more tutorials and tips and tricks on how to do those things, but I just wanted to kind of go over what I use. I love this specific palette because I was actually at IMATS last year, and Eve Pearl was there, and I walked up to her and told her what an inspiration she is. She sat me down and said, "Hey, let me powder you up. Let me do a quick touch-up." I was honored to sit in her chair. And after I tend to babble on. I was going on and on about how I've been in the industry and I look up to people like her and Makeup Forever and MAC Cosmetics and all these amazing brands that are out there. But she says to me, you have an inspiring energy as well. And I was like, well, thank you very much. She goes, I see you doing great things in the industry. And she gifted me the exact palette from her hand. And I mean, I'm sure she does that a lot, but it really made me feel special. So I try my best not to go through this too much, because it's not just Eve Pearl's brand, it's the palette that she was actually working from. Pretty magical moment. Moving right along. So we did the eyebrows, we carved out the brow, and I always like to start with that because that frames the face. I believe I then went in with my my foundation. And the foundation that I used was, I like to use a combination of different foundations. I used the Kat Von D Full Coverage Lock-It Longwear Foundation. I was introduced to this while I was working for Sephora. Loved when this brand of makeup came out. And then, of course, my all-time favorite, this is a special, this brand, Makeup Forever Professional Paris, has a very special place to my heart. Shout out to all of my Makeup Forever professionals in Paris and in New York City. I miss you and I love you, and I'll see you guys soon. And I can't wait to use some of the new products that I know are going to be coming out soon. But Makeup Forever HD. We live in an HD world. People are like, it's not always, what do we need HD makeup for? And I always like to tell people, we're on social media these days. Who isn't taking a selfie? Selfie. I mean, we're taking HD pictures on a regular basis. So HD foundation is something that everyone can benefit from. But originally, HD makeup was designed so that those who were on camera and in the industry could have makeup that was more natural looking to that camera. So that camera comes right on into the skin, and it doesn't look like, we don't want it to look like there's this heavy layer of makeup. So I use the combination of these two foundations together to create a high definition and fuller coverage look. And then after, I used a little bit more of my Eve Pearl palette. I used some of the lighter colors to highlight under my eyes, the forehead, the bridge of my nose. And I also used, to apply, I used two brushes. The brush that is my favorite, of course, is my Kabuki foundation brush. This brush is phenomenal, and people buy my brush set just because of this, a Kabuki brush. And then, of course, a traditional paddle brush. I use the paddle brush to deposit color, and I use the Kabuki brush to buff it in, and it literally gives you like an airbrushed, flawless finish. So I love those two tools to create that. And then I went in with my powders. Whenever there's cream product, you always want to set it with powder so that it doesn't move around. And so I used, of course, one of my all-time favorites. It is dear to my heart, and we'll be talking more about this in the days to come in seminars this year. But this is my pressed powder / highlight and contour palette. I sell that in my brand as well. Absolutely love this. You get 6 colors in warm and cool tones, so it can match any light, medium, or dark skin tone. It has light and some slightly rosy and peachy and beigey colors. And then, of course, a yellow darker tone and something with a little bit more red base. Perfect for giving that bronze effect where we used, we deposited on the forehead, on the cheekbone, and then on the jawline and on the sides of the bridge of the nose to create a hollow effect. And really quick, a quick way to remember highlight and contour is where you highlight, the feature pushes forward and becomes more prominent, and where you shade and contour, you pull that feature in and it becomes less prominent, and it really gives a more of a shape and a sculpted kind of a look. So absolutely love that. And then I have to shout Mr. Scott Barnes out. I feel so blessed. I don't want to make any of you jealous, but I did have the opportunity to interact with him recently, and straight off of the presses, it's not even in packaging. I don't know if you can zoom in on this really quick, but this is just a little Ziploc bag with his logo, and it reads SB Scott Barnes. There we go, we have it. Scott Barnes, of course, is the world-renowned makeup artist and famously known for doing many celebrities, especially Jennifer Lopez for the J-Lo glow. Kim Kardashian is on the front cover of his new book, and he's coming out with a new reality TV show competition. But when I saw him last at the Fame Expo, he gifted me with a couple of his new blushes, and these are 2 new pressed powders. They're foundation pressed powders, and you just use it with a nice powder brush. I love my powder brush because it's smooth and it totally just sets everything. So I mixed into these 2 colors to set the whole face. And what did I do next? So that was setting the face. So we did eyebrows, foundation, highlight, and contour, and then we set with the powders. And then I go from the top to the bottom. So what I did is I actually used my neutral palette. I have 2 versions of the neutral palette. There's the quad, which is great for personal use, and I like this for personal use too, but it could be used more for professionals. It's got 12 eyeshadows in this palette. I used my warm brown. It's a matte texture to carve out the crease of my eye right through the center, and then I mixed just a little bit of black to give some contour to create a natural crease. I then finished with, and then I highlighted with a little bit of my yellow beige eyeshadow on the brow bone and the lower lid. I went in with my liquid eyeliner. I love this stuff. Many brands carry them. I mean, you can go to any of the higher end luxury stores, but believe it or not, I'm a big fan of using products that are also sold over the counter, like at Rite Aid or CVS. I like to mix and match. I also shop at Macy's and Nordstrom's, but it's about having a diverse mix of product. This is called the Super Slim, this is called the Super Slim liquid eyeliner. It's by L'Oreal Paris. It's 12-hour infallible. Infallible? Infallible. Infallible. Yeah, infallible. Why I love this is because it has a felt tip pin. And I really got into this. I've been doing makeup for about 20 years, and we use a lot of wrist motion. So I have started to feel slight, I'm not even going to manifest that, because I am not going to call it upon myself. But let's just say I like it because it is ergonomically more friendly for your joints. And it helps not it helps me get a really nice fine line. So I like to use, here's a little tip for you. When you're doing liquid eyeliner, instead of trying to drag the eyeliner across the eyelid, that's when it gets all crazy and you feel like you're losing control. I learned this from my friend. Shout out to you, Debbie, Miss Debbie Blanchett. She's amazing. And I remember I worked with her at Mac in the 90s, and she goes, I'm just a mom. This is my side job. But she could do the best liquid eyeliner. And she goes, listen, you remember this tip. When you do your liquid eyeliner, Adamme, you do not drag it. You stamp it. And I said, stamp it? She goes, yeah, as if you were stamping dashes all the way across the base of my eyelash line. And when I did that, can I tell you, it gave me so much more control, and that's how I'm able to get a really nice straight line. So hopefully that tip sticks with you, and it's something that will assist you the next time you're doing your liquid eyeliner. On the bottom, I finished the eyes with using black aqua eyes. This is an eyeliner pencil by Makeup Forever, number 10. Absolutely amazing. And if you ever put eyeliner on the inside of your water rim, it tends to move around, especially me. I tend to have a little bit more of an almond shape and almost like an Asian eye. I'm not Asian. Everyone's like, are you Asian? No, you must be Samoan. I'm like, no, I'm just thick. How come every time I get thick, everyone's like, you're Samoan? I'm like, what, now I'm a sumo? There's nothing wrong with being big and curvy as long as you're healthy. But no, whenever I'm down in my weight, everyone's like, ooh, you're native. I'm like, yeah. Anyway, I am getting off track. My point is, when you use black liquid eyeliner on the water rim of the eye, it tends to move around and slide out and smear. But this particular brand tends to really wear long because it's designed to be waterproof, hence the name Aqua Eyes. Black, number 10 by Makeup Forever Paris. Make sure you try that. And believe it or not, I'm a big fan of many brands of lip liner, but just to finish this look, I used Sephora. Very inexpensive, or I shouldn't say very inexpensive. A very affordable brand to add to your kit. They're little miniature pencils, and you can get them in an array of colors. They're $5. And I used number 14, Radiant Rosy. I used number 13, Bal Beige, and it's just a neutral nude to create that natural look. And then I used one of my all-time favorite lip glosses. This is by Pure Illuminations, and I don't know if you saw earlier, but there's an LED light. I don't know if you're me, but I like to party with my little light. I feel like I'm at the disco, and so it's always kind of a fun little thing to do. But this has a great formula. It feels smooth and good on the lips, and voila, that's our look. Some false lashes and natural, number 1. And we rocked and rolled. That's my Beauty Warrior look. Thank you so much, and stay tuned to the next episode.